Hello and welcome to my channel. Hello and welcome to my channel, Inner Journey with Meditation. Today I have something interesting to share with you, and it's about the brain. This is really good. So having a conversation as usual with my inner being, and there was something on television. Someone, I think there was a news report, or I was watching a movie or something. The conversation started when there was something on TV about brain aneurysm. That came up, and my inner being said, you know, that can be predicted. I was like, huh? Care. So off I went to Google, because I don't even know what brain aneurysm was. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to just give a short excerpt from Google. This is from the NHS website, I think, and I'm just going to read what brain aneurysm was. An aneurysm is a bulge in a blood vessel caused by a weakness in the blood vessel wall usually where it branches. As blood passes through the weakened blood vessel, the blood pressure causes a small area to bulge outwards like a balloon. Aneurysm can develop in any blood vessel in the body, but the two most common places are the artery transporting blood away from the heart and the brain. And I think that's it, really. Just want to stop there on that one. So again, I was talking to my inner being. I was talking to my inner being. Carrying on the conversation with my inner being, I was like, okay, so now an aneurysm is, you know, when a blood vessel, obviously an artery bulges and then it pops and then blood spread over the area. And my inner being said, yeah, and said, take a look at the article again. And I'm looking at it, and she's like, where is it coming from? It's like, it's coming from the heart, you know. I mean, I'm saying all of this because it's just to illustrate my ignorance of brain science and anatomy in general. I'm not a neuroscientist. I'm not a doctor. But yet here we are again having another interesting conversation about the body. My inner being said, read the article again. Read it, and she said, well, where is the blood coming from? It's like, the heart. She's like, and then she said, I was like, okay, carry on. And I said, like, well, what about the heart then? And the conversation went something like, I started to wonder, well, how is it possible? How is it possible to predict this then? Is it something to do, because like I said to you, she doesn't dictate. She will not dictate to me, this is what happened exactly here. It's not going to happen. It's about me having an understanding of the mechanism that's going on, and that's sort of how I'm going to explain, or at least share the information in this video. I'm more interested in energy, obviously, so I said, well, there must be an energy around the heart. And she said, go back to the conversation that we had about consciousness entering the body. I said, when consciousness enters the body, it lights up the body like a Christmas tree. It's like, go back to the Christmas tree conversation. Like, well, when I just said, when consciousness enters the body, it lights up the body like a Christmas tree. And then she said, yeah, but something happens. So rather than try to repeat the conversation verbatim, I'll explain. When consciousness enters the body, it lights up the body like a Christmas tree, but actually, it's not consciousness itself that is the light. Consciousness is more like the personality. It's like consciousness enters the body and flips a switch, flips a switch. So then I thought, well, to be able to do that, I know that consciousness enters the body consciousness resides in the pineal gland. I know that much. So I thought, well, what? To be able, if you can, to be able to flip a switch, there must be something. So I started thinking about a car. So I started thinking about, well, the heart must be like the engine of a car. You get into a car and you turn the switch and you start it. And I said, is that how it works? And she said, yeah. Okay, so I thought, but for that to happen, for consciousness to flick a switch in the brain for the heart, there must be a direct connection and a direct link from the heart to the pineal gland. Dun, dun, dun. That was the first piece of information I wanted to share. I was like, yep, there is a direct line from the heart, a direct communication line from the heart to the pineal gland. This is a two-way communication, and which means information can go from the pineal gland to the heart, and also from the heart to the pineal gland. When I say from the heart to the pineal gland, I mean you can monitor it. This bit I understand because I'm an engineer, which is you can monitor stuff if you have like a transmitter, it transmits the data. You can also control the heartbeat. You can control the heart rate from the pineal gland. So now I'm thinking about, I know this is not part of it, but when I worked in a plant, we were in a control room, and you could control how the plant worked out in the field in terms of valves and pumps and flow and moving fluid from one place to another. So I understood that bit, but it's the fact that you're able to do it from a control room. That's the bit that I thought was, ooh, really? So from the pine, so there is a direct line. So at the same time, it becomes, well, we're talking about the brain aneurysm. Well, how does that? Because I thought, well, the heart pumps blood all over the body. How would you know? So what have I said so far? The heart pumps blood all over the body. Brain aneurysm would probably come from high blood pressure. I don't know. Let's just say high blood pressure. But how would you tell which one is going to cause an aneurysm in the brain? And my interview said, well, there is also information coming from the brain. And again, that threw me, because I thought, well, the brain is full of all these transmitters, neural pathways, signals, everything. The brain is controlling the rest of the body, and the pineal gland itself is in the brain. So which one of those is supposed to tell you, which one of those is supposed to tell you that you're going to have an aneurysm? And actually what it is that particular communication link is not in the brain itself. It's actually inside the neck. It's in the neck. It is on the base. I don't know if it's at the back or the front, but it's in the neck. And one of it, so it's like a branch, if you like. So there's a if you think of this communication link, communication connection as a road, because that works for me. If you think it's a road, then there's a road between the pineal gland and the aorta, or the main artery feeding the brain, that's located in the neck. And this information, there would also be other branches. This information, I've said before, it's a two-way information. It gives information about what's going to the brain and what's coming from the brain and the general condition of the brain. That's what this road does. Superhighway from the neck to the brain. So and it is from here that you can predict the conditions of the brain and therefore be able to predict an aneurysm. Ha! See, now, not a scientist, but I understood that bit. Another reason to connect with your inner being. But this, for me, I find that I am but a lay person, and all I'm doing is having a conversation with my inner being about what I see and about what I wonder about. Just furthermore from there. So what have I said? There is a communication, let's call it a road, because I prefer the road. There is a road from the pineal gland to the heart. There is a road from the pineal gland to the neck, specifically the main artery feeding the brain. It would, to me, it would make sense if it branched out, because it's taking information to the brain and it's collecting information from the brain. So for me, it would make sense if there were branches that collected information on things coming from the brain to make it a proper two-way. But in fact, the main section of this road is a two-way street, which means that you can detect what's going on, and you can actually not just monitor, because if it's a two-way street, you're not just monitoring the activities. It means you can do something, you can make changes. I think that's what it, and that's the thing. You can make changes for things that will potentially cause harm. It's like harm. Ham. Did I just say ham? Not ham. You can make changes for things that can potentially cause harm to the brain. Interesting. Right. So what else happened? So furthermore, I asked, well, there must be other linkages. It's like, yeah, there are other linkages. And I wrote them down. So if you excuse me, I'll just try and quickly check my notes and I'll come back. There is one that leads, there's a, we'll call it we'll call this two-way communication a road, because I think it's a special two-way communication between the pineal gland and this specific organs. There's this same road from the pineal gland to the sexual organs, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? I'm looking for like a terminal point, and the reason I'm saying a terminal point is that it gets to a point, and then you would have to branch out smaller. You would have to have smaller branches to collect the various information around the organ. So, for example, what I'm trying to say is this road is going from this neurotransmitter. I just didn't like I thought neurotransmitter, but I didn't like the term neurotransmitter, because in my mind, a transmitter, as far as I'm aware, just gives information. It just collects information and transmits it across sometimes the airwaves, which is more radio waves. And that's the reason why I'm not quite keen on the term transmitter, and I don't really know what a neurotransmitter is. in reality, as in with respect to medical terms. So, you know, I haven't bothered to Google neurotransmitter. I just think, you know, a neurotransmitter might not be something that goes two-way. That's why. And I thought I'll just use the term road, because I know you can go two-way on the road. Anyway, my point being that there is a road from the pineal gland, a communication road from the pineal gland to the sexual organs. And in the sexual organs, specifically the it terminates. I don't want to say terminates. There's a terminal, a junction point where there will be further branches from the, and that junction point is, or terminal point is the urethra. So where you wee from. So it goes from the urethra to the pineal gland, and from the urethra it goes to other parts of the sexual organ. So for example, in women it would go to around the vagina area. In men it would go around the penile, the penis. You know, that's, you know, this is where it travels and gets information from. So when you think about it, during sexual intercourse, this is the path that your pleasure area takes to the brain. Now, there's another connection, and this one is from the large intestine to the pineal gland again. So there is another road, another communication, two-way communication road from the large intestine to the pineal gland. And this is mainly for purging the body. You know when you eat something horrible and your body just gets rid of it like that. It's like shortcut, time to go. that's the main function. Okay, now the last one I find very interesting, and it still boggles my mind a little bit. But anyway, there's one more connection, and this connection is from the base of the spinal column to the pineal gland. And this one is for your senses. So your sense of taste, your sense of smell, your sight, and the feel. I think I've mentioned, and hearing. So that's all your five senses feeds in to this two-way. So obviously, if you think about it, it terminates at the base of the spinal column, right? And so it sort of spreads out to the hands and to the legs, so that you can feel stuff on your skin, because it's for the feel as well, when you can feel something hot or cold and pressure. But it's also for your other senses, you know, your sense of smell, sense of taste, and your sight leads to this one communication route back to the pineal gland. So what I'm saying is, there are five, is it five? Yeah. There are 5 roads from the pineal gland to these areas of the body, and the pineal gland uses it to monitor and control what happens in the body. So if you're able to map these communication routes you're able to map these, you better understand how the body, and most importantly, how the brain works. I'm dancing because I'm like, really? Oh, there's one thing I didn't mention. I actually forgot about it. The one thing that actually like baffled me the most and is that the fifth one, that connection that goes from the brain to the base of the spine, that also monitors, or that also monitors, as in two-way street information to and fro, the emotions. I was like, what? So your emotions, anger, sadness, happiness, dancing, ooh, joyous, that information is sent to the brain from that two-way road, because I don't know the real scientific name. It's like, I was like, really? And you know, the reason why that interests me and it interests me and it baffles me is when we always say, you are not your emotions. And I'm like, that's what it is. Does that mean that the emotion is part of the body? I just have so many other questions based on that, but I'm not going to talk about it on this video. I just wanted for this video to be, I want this video to be about the pineal gland. Not the pineal gland, the pineal gland and the major pathways, neural pathways, neural roads going from the pineal gland to major areas of the body. And when you think about it, this makes the pineal gland the real control center of the brain. It's like, oh, the pineal gland is the control center of the brain, and by extension, the control center of the body. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.